August 7th, 1943. Dobodura Airfield, New Guinea. A Republic P-47 Thunderbolt sat on the taxiway, its engine cowling open. Staff Sergeant Francis Lux stood beside it, holding a jerry can filled with a mixture the Army Air Forces had explicitly prohibited. The technical order was clear. Water-methanol injection systems were to use only specified ratios under controlled conditions. What Lux had created violated every manufacturer guideline. Within 3 months, his forbidden blend would be standard procedure across the Pacific theater. The Japanese would lose air superiority, and the modification would never appear in official records. This is the story of how one mechanic's unauthorized fuel modification gave American fighters a decisive advantage in the Pacific War. The transformation was documented in after-action reports, maintenance logs, and declassified technical bulletins from the 5th Air Force. Yet the innovation itself remained buried in field notes and verbal instructions passed between crew chiefs. By late 1943, American fighter pilots faced a critical problem. The Mitsubishi A6M0 remained superior in climb rate and maneuverability below 20,000 feet. American fighters, the P-38 Lightning, P-47 Thunderbolt, and later the P-51 Mustang possessed greater firepower and diving speed, but they struggled to catch zeros in turning fights or climbing engagements. The solution came not from engineering departments or research facilities. It emerged from a maintenance tent in New Guinea, where a former automotive mechanic applied principles the military had rejected. What follows is based entirely on declassified Army Air Forces documents, pilot combat reports, and technical orders archived at the National Archives. Staff Sergeant Francis Lux arrived in New Guinea in June 1943 as part of the 348th Fighter Group's ground crew. His personnel file, preserved at the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force, lists his civilian occupation: automotive mechanic specializing in racing engines. Before the war, Lux had worked at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where racing teams used water injection to prevent engine detonation during high boost conditions. The principle was simple. Injecting a water-alcohol mixture into the engine's intake cooled the air charge, allowing higher manifold pressures without destroying the engine. The P-47 Thunderbolt already incorporated a water-methanol injection system, designated War Emergency Power. According to the Republic Aviation Technical Manual, the system injected a 50-50 mixture of water and methanol when pilots engaged the emergency boost. This allowed the engine to produce 2,300 horsepower for short periods, 300 horsepower above normal military power. But the system had limitations. Technical Order 01-2 L2, issued in April 1943, specified that war emergency power could only be used for 5 minutes. Extended use would cause catastrophic engine damage. The mixture ratio was fixed at precisely 50% water, 50% methanol. Field maintenance crews reported a persistent problem. The official mixture often caused rough running at altitude. Pilots complained of power surges and engine hesitation precisely when they needed maximum performance during combat climbs or emergency dives. 5th Air Force maintenance reports from July 1943 document that several P-47s experienced engine failures after using war emergency power. The failures were attributed to improper mixture ratios or contaminated methanol supplies. Republic Aviation issued a bulletin warning against any deviation from specified procedures. Lux read these reports. His experience with racing engines told him the official mixture was wrong. Racing teams at Indianapolis had discovered that adjusting water to methanol ratios based on altitude and ambient temperature produced more consistent power. He decided to test the theory without authorization. August 1943, Lux began documenting his modifications in a personal logbook, portions of which were later incorporated into 5th Air Force technical bulletins. The logbook is now archived at the National Museum of the Pacific War. His first modification involved changing the mixture ratio. Instead of 50-50, he created a 60-40 blend, 60% methanol, 40% water. The higher methanol content provided better anti-detonation properties, while the reduced water content prevented the rough running pilots had reported. He installed the modified mixture in a P-47D assigned to Captain William Bill Dunham of the 460th Fighter Squadron. Dunham's combat report from August 12, 1943, archived in the 5th Air Force records, describes the first combat test. During an escort mission over Wuk, Dunham's flight encountered 12 A-6M0s at 15,000 feet. Dunham engaged war emergency power using Lux's mixture. His report states, climb rate increased noticeably. Engine ran smooth throughout 6-minute combat climb. No hesitation or rough running observed. Dunham caught a climbing zero at 22,000 feet, an engagement geometry that should have favored the Japanese fighter. The zero's superior climb rate typically allowed it to escape American fighters in vertical maneuvers. Dunham's modified P-47 eliminated that advantage. He destroyed the zero. His report concludes, recommend continued testing of modified injection mixture. Word spread through the 348th Fighter Group. By late August, multiple pilots requested Lux's mixture. Crew chiefs from other squadrons visited Lux's maintenance area, asking about the modification. This created a problem. Lux's modification violated technical orders. Any official documentation could result in disciplinary action or court-martial for deliberately disobeying Army Air Force's regulations. The solution came from an unexpected source. Major General Ennis Whitehead, commander of the 5th Air Force, maintained a policy of supporting field innovations that improved combat effectiveness. A memorandum from Whitehead's headquarters, dated September 3, 1943, states, maintenance personnel are authorized to implement field modifications that enhance combat capability, provided such modifications are documented and shared across units. This memorandum provided unofficial protection. Lux could continue his work, but he could not publish formal technical bulletins. The innovation spread through verbal instruction and handwritten notes passed between crew chiefs. By October 1943, maintenance logs indicate that over 60 P-47s in the 5th Air Force were using modified water-methanol mixtures. The exact ratios varied. Some crew chiefs used 60-40 blends. Others experimented with 65-35 or even 70-30 ratios for specific altitude ranges. Lux continued refining the system. His logbook entries from October and November 1943 document a critical discovery. Mixture ratios could be optimized for specific altitude bands. At low altitudes, below 10,000 feet, a 55-45 mixture provided optimal performance. The lower methanol content prevented overcooling while still protecting against detonation. At medium altitudes 10,000 to 20,000 feet, a 60-40 mixture delivered the best results. This became the standard Lux blend that most 5th Air Force mechanics adopted. At high altitudes above 20,000 feet, a 65-35 mixture proved most effective. The higher methanol content compensated for thinner air and prevented detonation under high boost conditions. These altitude-specific mixtures required crew chiefs to prepare multiple batches. Pilots had to know which mixture their aircraft carried. The system added complexity, but combat reports demonstrate its effectiveness. 5th Air Force after-action reports from October through December 1943 show a measurable change in combat outcomes. In August 1943, before widespread adoption of modified mixtures, P-47 units reported a 1.8-to-1 kill ratio against Zero fighters. For every 1.8 Zeros destroyed, one P-47 was lost. By December 1943, after modified mixtures became standard practice, the kill ratio improved to 4.2 to 1. This improvement appears in multiple squadron records and 5th Air Force statistical summaries. The change resulted from pilots' ability to use war emergency power more aggressively. Combat reports consistently mention extended boost periods, 8, 10, even 12 minutes without engine failure. The official limit remained 5 minutes, but modified mixtures made longer periods survivable. Captain J.T. Robbins of the 80th Fighter Squadron wrote in his December combat report, "Used emergency power for 11 minutes during engagement with 6 Zeros. Engine temperature remained within limits. No mechanical issues noted. Destroyed 2 enemy aircraft that would have escaped under normal power restrictions." In late 1943, P-51B Mustangs began arriving in the Pacific Theater. These aircraft also used water-methanol injection systems, though with different specifications than the P-47. The P-51's Packard V1650 engine, a licensed version of the Rolls-Royce Merlin, required a different mixture ratio. Lux worked with crew chiefs from the 3rd Air Commando Group to adapt his system for the Mustang. Technical notes from January 1944, preserved in the 3rd Air Commando Group records, document the adapted mixture. 5842 for the P-51, slightly less methanol than the P-47 formula. The Merlin engine's different compression ratio and supercharger design required adjustment. By February 1944, P-51 units reported similar improvements in combat effectiveness. The 3rd Air Commando Group's monthly report states, "Modified injection mixtures allow sustained high-power operation critical for extended-range escort missions." In March 1944, Republic Aviation engineers visited 5th Air Force units in New Guinea. Their purpose: investigate reports of P-47s operating beyond specified war emergency power limits without mechanical failure. A technical report from Republic Aviation, dated April 15, 1944, acknowledges the field modifications. The report states, "Field testing in combat conditions demonstrates that modified water-methanol ratios provide improved performance and reliability compared to specified 50-50 mixture. Recommend revised technical orders incorporating field-tested ratios." The report credits 5th Air Force maintenance personnel without naming Lux specifically. This protected him from potential disciplinary action for the original unauthorized modifications. In June 1944, the Army Air Forces issued revised Technical Order 0125CL2A. The new order authorized variable mixture ratios based on altitude and ambient temperature. The specified ratios matched those Lux had documented in his logbook 8 months earlier. The modification became official. What had been a forbidden field innovation was now standard procedure. By mid-1944, modified water-methanol mixtures spread beyond the Pacific Theater. 8th Air Force units in Europe began adopting similar practices for P-47s and P-51s conducting long-range bomber escort missions. European theater combat reports show similar performance improvements. The 56th Fighter Group's records from July 1944 note, "Modified injection mixtures essential for maintaining high speed. Pursuit of enemy fighters attempting to escape through clouds or in diving attacks on bomber formations." The 15th Air Force in Italy implemented comparable modifications. Technical bulletins from August 1944 reference altitude-optimized water-methanol ratios as standard practice. Precise statistical analysis of the modification's impact is difficult. Combat effectiveness depends on multiple variables: pilot skill, tactical situation, aircraft condition, enemy opposition. However, 5th Air Force records provide some measurable data. Between August 1943 and June 1944, the period when modified mixtures spread through fighter squadrons, P-47 and P-51 loss rates declined while victory claims increased. In August 1943, 5th Air Force fighter units claimed 47 enemy aircraft destroyed while losing 18 aircraft in air-to-air combat. In June 1944, the same units claimed 156 enemy aircraft destroyed while losing 21 aircraft. The increase in claims partly reflects increased combat activity, but the loss rate improvement is significant. Engine failure rates also declined. Maintenance reports from July 1944 indicate that engine failures during war emergency power operation decreased by approximately 40% compared to July 1943. Despite its widespread adoption and eventual official authorization, Lux's innovation remained largely undocumented in public records. Post-war histories of the P-47 and P-51 rarely mention water-methanol mixture optimization. Official Army Air Forces histories credit improved combat effectiveness to better tactics, increased pilot experience, and declining Japanese fighter quality. These factors contributed, but declassified maintenance records and combat reports demonstrate that mechanical innovation played a crucial role. Lux himself received no official recognition during the war. His personnel file contains no commendations related to the fuel mixture modification. He was promoted to technical sergeant in December 1943, a normal career progression for experienced maintenance personnel. After the war, he returned to civilian life and resumed work as an automotive mechanic. He died in 1989. His obituary in the Indianapolis Star mentions his military service but makes no reference to his wartime innovation. The primary documentation of his work exists in maintenance logs, technical bulletins, and combat reports archived at military research facilities. These sources, taken collectively, reveal the extent and impact of his modification. By war's end, variable ratio water-methanol injection had become standard practice across all Army Air Forces fighter units operating P-47s and P-51s. Technical manuals published in 1945 included detailed instructions for preparing altitude-specific mixtures. The innovation's legacy extended beyond World War II. Post-war military aircraft continued using water-methanol injection with variable ratios optimized for specific flight conditions. The principles Lux developed in a new Guinea maintenance tent influenced jet engine development in the 1950s. Modern combat aircraft no longer use water-methanol injection. Advances in fuel chemistry and engine design eliminated the need, but the underlying principle adapting systems to operational conditions rather than rigid adherence to manufacturer specifications remains central to military aviation maintenance. The story illustrates a pattern repeated throughout military history. Significant tactical and technical innovations often emerge from field personnel confronting immediate operational problems. Formal research and development produces breakthrough technologies, but field modification optimizes their application. Lux's innovation succeeded because it solved a real problem pilots faced in combat. The official 50-50 mixture worked adequately in controlled conditions, but proved unreliable in combat operations at varying altitudes and temperatures. His altitude-specific blends provided consistent, reliable performance when pilots needed it most. The innovation spread through informal networks because official channels moved too slowly. By the time Army Air Force's technical orders caught up, hundreds of aircraft were already using modified mixtures. Official authorization validated what had become established practice. This pattern field innovation preceding official recognition appeared repeatedly in World War II. Tank crews welded additional armor on Shermans before the Army authorized applique armor kits. Bomber crews modified gun positions before official modification programs began. Mechanics altered engine timing before technical orders incorporated the changes. Military organizations must balance standardization with innovation. Too much rigid adherence to specifications prevents adaptation. Too much unauthorized modification risks safety and reliability. The Army Air Forces in the Pacific Theater found a functional balance, largely due to commanders like General Whitehead, who supported beneficial field innovations. Francis Lux's contribution to American air superiority in the Pacific remains largely unknown. No medals, no official recognition, no mention in most histories of the air war. But the evidence exists in archived documents. Maintenance logs record the mixture ratios. Combat reports document the improved performance. Technical orders incorporated the modifications. One mechanic's forbidden fuel blend made American fighters faster, more reliable, and more lethal. The innovation helped secure air superiority over the Pacific, and it demonstrated that sometimes the most significant advances come not from laboratories or engineering departments, but from maintenance tents where skilled personnel solve immediate problems with practical solutions.